Welcome, dear listeners, to the Sisters of the Shire Podcast, your gateway to the enchanting world of J.R.R. Tolkien. I'm Ashley, and I'm here with my co-host, Abby, who's embarking on her first journey through the Silmarillion. Today, we are delving into the final section of the Silmarillion, called Of the Rings of Power and the Third Age.
Now, if you are new to this epic saga, fear not, we recommend starting from episode 1 or 0, but episode 1 works too. As the Silmarillion has many intricate backstories, but don't worry, that's what we are here for. We are on a quest to unravel Tolkien's mesmerizing tales and make them not only accessible, but downright enjoyable. So gather your maps, metaphorical or otherwise. Seriously, I have to look at a lot of maps on here, so I will not judge if you actually do have maps. And if you have a trusty sword, give it a little polish. And of course, don't forget your handkerchief, because who knows where today's adventure will take us.
Are you ready? Then
I'm
let's
ready.
set forth into the realms of Middle-earth. Let's go! So how are you today, Abby?
Ooh, I am getting ready for Comic-Con. I am buckling down.
I keep showing Lizzie the things, and she's like, well, what's Luna going to wear? I'm like, I don't know. Is Luna, so I have to know, is Luna going to be Briar Rose?
We're taking all the kids on the Friday. I'm being the cool mom. I'm taking them out of school to go to Comic-Con.
Ooh.
So Fox is going to be Marty McFly. He's very excited.
Nice.
And then Luna is going to be her favorite character from her favorite show, which is Gravity Falls. I've talked about this before. That's what we were last year for Halloween. So she is being Mabel Pines from Gravity Falls. And Mabel has a pet pig. So one of my favorite people in the world is crocheting him a pig-like beanie for Oakley.
Amazing. Perfect.
For my little 2-year-old, so he can be a little Waddles. That's the name of the pig.
Cute.
So they can be a little pair. So he can be Mabel and Waddles together.
Yeah.
I know, it's so cute. I'm so excited. My mom is also coming too, so
Wow.
I wish I had time, but I ran out of time because I basically made 3 costumes this year. So her favorite superhero is Super Grover.
Right. That does not surprise me at all, knowing your mother.
Yes. And so I was like, oh man, that would have been really cute if I made her a little Super Grover outfit.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe next time.
Maybe.
So yeah, I'll send you a picture. If anybody wants to
give her like
follow
Maleficent horns or something.
Oh, that's or Colt wears Maleficent horns. I'm actually gonna be just a mom. I'm gonna be a nerdy mom when I take the kids, because I told them, I'm like, I love you all, but I cannot be a good mom if I'm in cosplay. I literally cannot do anything for you. So
yeah,
I will send you a picture, Ashley. So I've been working on our hats for all 3 of the little fairies. The kids wanted to watch Sleeping Beauty the other day because they're like, we need to watch it so you can see the fairies. I'm like, okay. And they are the most high exalted excellencies. And I'm like,
oh yes,
I'm a high exalted excellency. So,
oh my gosh, Abby,
3 good fairies.
That's
so I sent Ashley a photo. If you guys want to follow me on my Instagram to see these photos, my handle is Cosplay Blast. So it's at Cosplay Blast. There's no punctuation or anything. It's just those 2 words together. And I'm making hats for my 2 friends and I, and they glow. They're glowy and they're so cool.
It looks amazing. I saw you posted a picture of the little mushroom fungi things, and I'm like, I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see that because they look so clear, but the way that you lit them up and put them in the moss, it looks amazing.
I know, I'm so excited.
And your freaking crystals. So she's got little crystals around the brim of her hat with little fairy lights in it. Literally fairy lights. And it just looks like purples and blues. Oh man, it looks epic.
I know. I'm pretty excited. And then you already saw my other friend's floral hat, her flora hat.
Right.
Which we're going to make little bees and put them on wires so they're like floating around her hat.
cute.
I know.
Oh my gosh.
I'm excited.
Very
So
cute.
we've got like a week. I've got a week left of finishing everything. So wish me luck. I hope it works.
May the sewing gods be ever in your favor.
I know, right? Anyway, how have you been?
I've been good. I've just been trying to settle into school life with Lizzie at school and, getting in a new routine and going on vacation here in a few weeks, or next week, actually. My dad, he loves being outside and he loves nature and he loves history. And so he kind of put those two loves together and he made a goal for himself that he is going to visit every national park in a year. And he didn't want to go by himself. And my mom doesn't always love traveling. I mean, she does, but she doesn't.
This is my term. She doesn't travel well.
Yeah. Very much so. And so he's always like, okay, who wants to come with me to this one? Who wants to come with me to this one? And so he's just been like taking turns, like taking my brothers and their families. So this one is our turn.
Can I
and this
be
one
on the list?
if you want. I specifically requested this one because it's one of my favorite places and it's one of my husband's favorite places too. We chose the Grand Tetons and Yellowstone.
Oh.
It's going to be like a long weekend of geysers and mountains and all of the buffaloes. I love buffaloes. I don't know why.
But Ashley, there's bears.
But I like buffaloes.
But there's bears. Remember when we went to Yellowstone and there were bears?
And there were lots of flies and we locked Aunt Sally out of the car and she was running around screaming.
Yes. Because of all the mosquitoes and the herd of gophers that were coming after us.
Yep. The funny thing is I felt like we had that trip very well planned with the weather, but my mom literally sent me a forecast and it's like the first few days, sunny skies, 80 degrees, whatever. Then next half is thunderstorms, possible snow. Like, oh. Okay, how do I plan for that?
All right.
So, should be interesting.
Well, you'll have to post some really cool photos on the Instagram.
Oh, I will. I mean, I'm surprised Tolkien didn't ever try. Did Tolkien ever really come to America and visit any national parks? Man Who Loved Trees?
I don't know. I'm not sure, actually. Did he make it over the water? Did he come over here? Across the pond?
Across the pond, that's the term. Yeah. Well, speaking of Tolkien, we got some business to get to here. So how much do you remember of last week?
I remember wasn't it like the setting up of I'm getting confused. Not the kingdoms, but the where everybody was, where it was like this tower was over here for this person and this person was over here and stuff like that. So we kind of looked at where everyone was ended up.
I had a lot of maps last episode. You're right. So with Sauron wanting to dominate Middle Earth, making life in Middle Earth miserable for all the elves there, they literally call this time period the Black Years or the Days of Flight, as many of them are like, bye, Middle Earth, it's not worth it. I choose life.
I said that the other day. I'm sorry, I choose life.
Oh, Sid. So they move on to Valinor or Tol Eressëa, and then that's when Sauron gets his special invite to Numenor, and then he checks off the downfall of Numenor off of his to-do list. And then since Sauron's gone, people
cancel that again.
With Sauron gone, the elves expand a little bit, and we add Greenwood the Great to our Middle Earth risk game board.
But then that turns into, in the future,
Mirkwood. And then we get to find out what happens to the Elendili, the Dunedain, after Numenor was destroyed, and they basically rode into Middle Earth on a tidal wave.
Oh, yeah.
That's all I can imagine. And Elendil literally surfed right up to Gil-galad, and they became instant best friends.
Do you think he came in with like a sweet guitar riff, like ding 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 ding?
Yes.
Ding.
Oh, what's that? Oh man, that's gonna bother me. Something
Or,
Dale.
Dick Dale. His name is Dick
Thank
Dale.
you. Thank you.
Because I love saying it. But, or it's like Danny 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 wow. He just comes in and he shreds it, so like sand just like sprays everywhere and like gets all over Gil-galad. He's like
excuse me, sir.
This is gonna take forever to get out of my hair.
So after they meet, the Dunedain decide to settle into Middle-earth, and they go past Lindon because Gil-galad's already got himself set up there, and they set up 2 kingdoms. The North Kingdom, which is Arnor, Elendil's now home.
Settlement.
Thank you. Which is located in Eriador, which is kind of where the Shire is later going to be. His capital city
who
is
wouldn't
called...
want to end up there?
I know. His capital city is called Anuminas, or West Tower. And then he also has more towers. There's
towers.
Baride, which is Tower Hills, which was a gift from Gil-galad. It's closer to the Grey Havens, and so it was kind of their halfway meeting point. Whenever we would visit each other, or we had to do kid swaps, we always met in Centralia. Yes. Then he also had Amunsul, which is Hill of Wind or Weathertop. Then there was the South Kingdom, which was Gondor, or Land of Stone, which was Isildur and Anarion's settlements. They kind of already had some starting points because that's where the Númenóreans kind of had their summer homes before the destruction of Númenor. So they're just kind of build up on that. They have a capital city of Osgiliath, which is the Citadel of the Stars. Technically on 2 sides of a river, so they just build a bridge in between and connect it all together, and that's kind of where Isildur and Anarion share the rule. They have their 2 thrones. Then there's Minas Ithil, which is the Tower of the Rising Moon, which is Isildur's tower, and it's right near Mordor. And then Minas Anor, which is the Tower of the Setting Sun, which was Anarion's tower. Then we got to hear about all of the cool monuments. Argonath, which was the huge statues that we now know wasn't Isildur and Elendil, but it's Isildur and Anarion. They were holding up their hands in like a stop motion.
His grandpa? Yeah.
No, the brothers.
Oh, brothers. That's right.
Yeah. And then the Aglarond, which is the glittering caves in Helm's Deep. The Eric, or the Stone of Eric, the huge random black ball of stone that Isildur decided to bring with him from Númenor, that one guy made an oath on, and then he broke that oath, and his army was cursed and turned into the Ghost Army. And then the last one was the Pinnacle of Orthanc, aka Isengard, which was the huge tower, possibly built from a meteorite, with an outer circle of rock that later Saruman takes. So, yeah, that's where we left things last week.
Okay, so we set up all the buildings.
Yes, we put all the houses on the game board.
Monopoly board.
Monopoly board. All right, so now that the Dunedain are all settled into their new kingdoms, they meet their towers, their monuments, their capital cities. Now they can just unpack all of the cool stuff they brought from Númenor before it destroyed. It was destroyed. I can't talk. Quote, many treasures and great heirlooms of virtue and wonder the exiles, or the Dunedain, had brought from Númenor. And of these, the most renowned were the 7 stones and the white tree. Now, I'm not saying those things aren't cool, but I'm just like, what other things did they bring? Like, if Isildur could bring a huge black ball of rock, what else did they have? Do they have room for anything else? Were there lots of storage spaces for other people who wanted to bring ridiculous things? Like,
I brought my cookie jar collection.
Let's talk about what they did with the white tree.
Okay.
So remember that it was grown from the seedling of the fruit that Isildur stole on Númenor before Sauron cut down and burned the tree Nimloth. And remember that it is also the seed of the seed of the seed, basically down the ways of, quote, the eldest of trees, white Telperion, which Yavanna caused to grow in the land of the Valar. The tree, memorial of the Eldar and of the light of Valinor, was planted in Minas Ithil before the house of Isildur, since he it was that had saved the fruit from destruction.
So this is the great, 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 great grandson.
Yes, very much so. But it's interesting. So, Telperion has its own name. Nimloth has its own name. So most of the tree descendants get their own names, but for some reason, this tree is just known as the White Tree of Isildur. That's all we get to know.
They simplified it.
Yeah. And according to the Encyclopedia of Arda, I was trying to visualize like what the tree would look at this point. Like how long had it been since Isildur stole the fruit seed from Nimloth? Because, we were there for a little while and then we have to travel here. Like how long has it been from stolen to planted in Minas Ithil? So apparently the white tree was planted in the year...
stolen. I want to say
okay.
Saved.
Rescued. Yes.
Rescued.
You're right.
Because it was going to be murdered.
Murdered, literally. So it was murdered. The white tree, Nimloth, was cut down and burned in 3290. And the white tree of Isildur was planted in 3320. So it's about 30 years old. And, I'm like, oh, okay, that's a big tree. But then I'm like, but wait, what if like special white trees from like the descendants of Telperion grow faster, or do they grow slower? Like, are we thinking like Charlie Brown Christmas tree size, or like a full blown tree on a boat? Like what? I still don't know.
That'd be hilarious. It has its own little bed. Like they tuck it in at night. They're like, aww. They're like, it's okay, little tree.
It's okay. We saved you.
You're safe now.
The white tree of Isildur is all planted and safe in Isildur's Tower of Minas Ithil. Now, are you ready to hear about the 7 stones?
Yes, which I still want someone to make a really cool, like, display where you have the 7 stones and they're like displayed in like a cool line or something. Really cool engraved wood. Come on, guys.
That'd be really cool. So in case you don't know what we're talking about, the 7 stones, if you don't remember, were given as a gift from the Eldar of Tol Eressëa to Amandil, who was Elendil's father, when they were on Numenor. And this gift was meant, quote, for the comfort of the faithful of Numenor in their dark days, when the elves might come no longer to that land. They were called the Palantiri, those that watch from afar.
The people were called that, or the stones?
The stones.
Yes.
So I find this interesting because in the Akalabath, it made no mention of Amandil or anyone else for that matter actually using any of these stones or Palantirs or Palantiri. But it's definitely giving me like quarantine flashbacks of using like Marco Polo, FaceTime, Skype, or whatever to like keep in touch with people that we couldn't like visit anymore. Like, okay, I know we're best friends, but we can't visit you anymore because Sauron's a poo-poo head. So here, just take these stones and call us every time you miss us. Okay, just keep us in mind. Keep in touch.
Yeah. It plays the Zoom thing. It's like when you're waiting for the other when the other person gets on.
Quote, these stones had this virtue, that those who looked therein might perceive in them things far off, whether in place or in time. For the most part, they revealed only things near to another kindred stone. For the stones each called to each, but those who possessed great strength of will and of mind might learn to direct their gaze whither they would. Thus, the Númenóreans were aware of many things that their enemies wished to conceal, and little escaped their vigilance in the days of their might.
So the stones were tattletaling on everyone.
Yes. But I just had this thought. I've always thought it was very wise that Amandiel always had these like, okay, Sauron's up to stuff. We need to prepare. Let's get all the boats ready. Let's get, gather all the people. But I wonder if maybe he saw something in the stone of the future. Maybe.
Maybe he didn't want to freak everybody out. And he's like, let's just get ready. Let's just be prepared.
Yeah.
Because how 100% were the like things that like, was it predicting the future? It was predicting the future, right? It was like showing what the future would look like, right?
Right.
But has it been used before that they're like, oh, this is 100% true? Like they know, they've seen that happen. So maybe he's like, this isn't maybe they haven't been, proven that this is 100% true thing that could happen, but maybe it's just a warning that we should just get ready. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I don't know if it says any instances where they used it and they're like, oh, that exactly happened how it showed me how it was going to happen.
As far as I know, like it does say that they could see things in time, like in the future, basically. But I don't know of any instance where they actually did that.
Yeah. It's so mainly, I'm saying like, that they're like, oh, well, I don't know how true this is.
Right.
But let's just err on the side of caution.
Yeah.
And let's like just be okay with skedaddling soon.
Right. So 7 stones, and they're actually going to be divided up. So 3 for Elendil, 2 for Isildur, and 2 for Anarion. Now, if you want to open the first map that I sent you, so these, you can Google this too if you want. I always use my Encyclopedia of Arda. That's my Bible. And if you just type in Palantiri or 7 stones, it'll show you a map of all the locations, which is so cool. Okay, so you got your map.
Mm-hmm. This is the one with the pink circles on it.
Correct. So we're going to start with the Elendil stone, which was placed by Elendil, obviously, on the Tower Hills. So those were the Emyn Bryad.
Did they have to place them in certain spots? I feel like they placed them always on like really high.
So I
areas?
Honestly think of it like a cell phone tower. Like we need to boost the reception.
Yeah. They're like running around holding it above their head. Like, is it good here? No. Is it good here?
1 bar, 2 bars.
Over here.
1 bar. Aw, SOS. Dang it.
Dang it.
Oh no, we're roaming. Walk away. So I don't know if it had to be on a tower, but that seemed to be where the majority of them were. So the Elendil stone was on the Tower Hills, or the Emyn Bryad. That was the gift from Elendil, or to Elendil from Gil-galad near the Grey Havens. And from the height of the towers, you could actually see the sea, which is kind of cool. Quote, "Thither Elendil would repair, and thence he would gaze out over the sundering seas, when the yearning of exile was upon him. And it is believed that thus he would at whiles see far away even the tower of Avalone upon Erisea, where the Master Stone abode, and yet abides."
The ultimate Palantir? Or the ones that they got their Palantirs from?
Excellent question. So even I knew that there was more than one Palantir, but I never thought of there being a Master Stone, or that I thought they were all in Middle Earth now. But can you imagine? There actually was still a Master Stone on Tol Eressëa. That's how they would communicate when they were on Númenor. But when they took them to Middle Earth, they still had the one on Tol Eressëa, which is interesting. So that means the Eldar essentially knew, or maybe even could overhear or kind of oversee Sauron when like Sauron later gets in on the Palantir business and like Saruman and stuff.
He bought a sell plan.
So I find that interesting that the Eldar might have known what Sauron was up to before anyone else, and because they were in Tol Eressëa, they're like, sorry, can't do anything about it. The connection's not good.
Is it only a one-way communication? Like they can only receive things, they can't send anything out? This is my like very, just give me a very quick answer for it. The Palantirs can see the future. Is that all Palantirs can do that? Because I swear I heard a thing that like they're different for each. They can do different things. Second, is it a form of communication? Like, can they like talk to each other?
Yes.
Through it.
Yes.
Okay.
So
in the movie, when Pippin touches it, he is in real time communicating.
Yes.
Like he sees the future.
But he does see the future. You're right. Yeah.
He sees the future, and then at the end of the sequence, he like is real time communicating. Mm-hmm. Okay, so they can do both of those things. Yes. Okay.
It just really depends on the person. Like I think it said, like if they had the the will and of the great strength of will and of mind, they could learn to direct their gaze where they wanted.
Because I feel like so it's almost Pippin, like he wasn't like ready for it. Like it was like a mentally taxing. Like it looked like it physically like pained him to use it. Yeah. Like it hurt his brain.
I almost think
where Saruman, when he uses it, he looks like he's like meditating, like he knows how to use it.
So it's almost like Pippin just picked up a landline and Sauron was already there.
Scary.
Yeah. Whereas like Saruman was like calling out and like dialing the phone and actually directing it more. That's the best example I can think of.
Creepy movies where like it's like post-apocalyptic and they're like one person sending out like a radio transmission.
Yes.
And then like over all frequencies, and then like somebody finds it and they're like, oh, where's the source coming from?
Yeah. Huh? I Am Legend. I had to think of the movie that was in.
I also think of the second Quiet Place movie, if you've seen that one.
Or that too. Yeah, that's a good one. But also, technically, yes, they could see the future, but again, it's maybe a matter of the person directing that and willing that and having that focus. Like you said, Saruman was kind of meditating. I also wonder if, I mean, it sounds funny, but I wonder if like the reception had anything to do with it. Like if you had it on a tower, it would have been able to see it better, if that makes any sense.
Who had the Palantir? Like what Palantir was it that Pippin touched? Was it the one that Saruman had?
We'll get there.
Okay.
Okay. So Elendil Stone. That is on the Emen Barad, the Tower Hills. That's like the one that can technically possibly communicate with the Master Stone in Tol Eressëa, possibly. So that's the first stone, is the Elendil Stone. The second stone is the Stone of Amun-Sul. So Amun-Sul, Weathertop, there was actually a stone at that tower, which was placed again by Elendil. And this was actually known as the largest of the stones in the North Kingdom. They aren't all identical. As far as whether or not one has more strength than another, I mean, this next stone is supposed to be like the least powerful, but it doesn't give a ton of detail of like, this one can for sure see the future. This one has a short range. This one can do long distance. Like it doesn't really specify a ton, but they just give little like, this one was the largest of the three in the north. But
this one only predicts what you're going to eat for the rest of the day, what you're going to have for dinner.
Yes. Beans again.
Dang it.
All right, so that's the Stone of Amun-Sul. So he has a stone on both of his towers in the North Kingdom, and then he also has a stone in his capital city of Anuminas. And this one, like I was just saying, is said to be the least powerful out of the stones of the Northern Kingdom.
So they, for some reason, range in power, but not like immensely different.
Right.
All right.
And then it's funny, we did bring up the Master Stone idea. And it's funny because in the book, it doesn't give a space between Master Stone. It's one word when referring to the stone that's on Tol Eressëa. But this next stone is called the Master Space Stone. So there's two Master Stones.
Master Space Stone? No, I'm just kidding.
Master Space Stone, yes. No, I will call it that. I like it. So this Master Space Stone was placed by Isildur or Narayan. It was one of their stones, but it doesn't specify who placed it because it's kind of in their central location, the capital city of the South Kingdom of Gondor, Skiliath. So it's kind of in their royal hall. It's said to be placed under the Dome of the Stars, and that's where their thrones were and where their main royal hall was.
Gorgeous.
Then we have the fifth stone, which is the Stone of Honor. This was placed by Anarion in his main tower. Of course, it's got to be in a tower or capital city of Minas Anor. Quote, as the centuries passed, the stone was almost forgotten. This is like way after these events, but I found this interesting. But the stewards knew of it. And Denethor from Return of the King, our Lord Denethor that we know and hate, Denethor dared to use it. Sauron, through the captured Ethyl stone, because he's going to capture another stone here in a minute, was able to drive the steward to despair and madness. Denethor burned himself to death with the Palantir in his hands, and from that time on, the image of the burning hands of the steward was fixed within the stone.
So Denethor lit the steward on fire, or he lit himself on fire?
Denethor is the steward.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Remember, he's the steward of Gondor. Yeah.
In my mind, means like a not king, below the king kind of person. But okay, yes.
Yeah, that's what he is. Yeah. That's why the line of kings was ended, so the stewards were ruling. So basically, this stone was in Minas Anor, and it gets kind of forgotten about as the time goes on. And then the future, Denethor uses it. But because, it drives him crazy because Sauron will later get a stone too. And he just basically tortures him. And that's one big reason why Denethor is such a prick. I
think it just showed him there was no hope or something, there was no reason to, everything was going to go bad.
Mm-hmm. But what's interesting is that even when Denethor burned himself to death, the Palantir wasn't destroyed in that. So later on, when they find the Palantir, it still has the burning hands on it. And so it was you could still kind of use it, but it was just kind of hard to see because it had these hands in the way.
Your hands in the way. Dang it. Yeah. Come on. I can't see anything.
It's like a cracked screen or something. It was just
or when you take a picture and there's a finger, your fingers covering half the screen.
Yes. It was like that.
He's like, come on, man.
That is the Stone of Honor. He did ruin everything. Then we have the sixth stone which is the Ethyl stone. This was placed by Isildur in his main tower of Minas Ithil. Eventually, the Nazgul will recover the stone and deliver it to Sauron, who will use it to influence Denethor and Saruman during the Third Age. So that's how Sauron gets a stone.
Okay.
But the image in my brain is funny because I'm but he's just an eyeball. He doesn't have hands. How is he? Does someone have to hold it up or
Yeah.
little to the left, guys.
It's Bluetooth.
So it's Bluetooth.
He's got a connector for Bluetooth. The little spires on the edges of his eyeball are Bluetooth headphones, and he could just
I like it.
Or the mouth of Sauron uses it for him.
Oh, yeah.
Or he doesn't even need to touch it because I feel like he could just stare into it.
Right. Yeah. And that's kind of what it looked like when Gandalf accidentally touches it. It's just like the eye.
Yeah. So he has one now, or
This is like later on. Yeah.
Yeah, he got one. He found one.
Yeah. He will find one eventually, but yeah. I mean, it's one thing just to tell you where these stones are in our timeline right now, but I also find it interesting to say where they're going to end up. Not ultimately, but just to kind of give you more context of what this stone eventually might do. Because I'm not sure if you know this, most of these stones are going to get lost. And most of them are going to be lost in water, funny enough.
Oh, come on, guys.
It's like, oops, we dropped it into a river. Aw, man.
Oh, man. Oh.
Apparently there's no talking to any like Olmo or anything to like, hey, can you fish that out for me? That'd be great. Or is that offensive? Is that offensive to say fish it out? I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Oh no. Like all the predictions are like.
Sorry, are you in a tunnel? Are you? Oh, you're at the bottom of the lake. Are you in a whale? What is that even from? I don't remember.
You remember that really old comedy VHS?
That was the video. Okay, yeah. No one will know
comedy show VHS
about,
we used to watch all over and over and over. Are you in a whale?
All right. So the seventh stone is the Orthanc stone. And Orthanc stone is the stone that Saruman is eventually going to find because it's in Isengard.
Okay.
This was placed...
It has a scary name. Orthanc. I feel like it's like made to be for the orcs in the darkness.
Well, I forgot what Orthanc means. I'm going to look it up now. The Orthanc was made to be kind of like a northern outpost of the southern kingdom of the Dunedain. That was like the first warning, I guess, of like something bad to come. And then it says eventually when the Ents took over Isengard, this is the stone that Pippin has. And this is the stone that Aragorn looks into later. And he actually ends up keeping it.
I need to rewatch those movies again.
Yeah. Yep. So... those are the 7 stones. Do you have any questions?
Can I get one? Can I have one? Because...
a realistic one? Or... because I don't think that actually...
So I have some neighbors. I live in a neighborhood. It's a newer built neighborhood, but we have a lot of older retired people who live in our neighborhood. And they are very into landscaping. Like... mostly everybody on our street, and it makes, in comparison, my house look like garbage.
Your house looks great.
Well, compared to everybody else's who like has the time to just be in their garden all day, like theirs looks like award winning. Anyway, there's like 2 or 3 houses on my street that like they are really into like these glass ball orb decorations. Yes. Like they have like they're blown glass, but they're like the size of like bowling balls. They're like pretty big. But they like put them in their yards, and every time I walk past them, and they're always on like stone pedestals or like just like, and they're cool colors and like they're very beautiful looking, and every time I walk by I'm like, it's Palantir, children, don't touch it.
We don't know who might be watching.
Yeah. Oakley did steal one time. And I was like, put it back.
Of course he did.
It was very much Pippin and Gandalf situation. Like, don't touch it. Oh my gosh, put it back.
And now you know why Gandalf looks so fed up all the time.
Yes. He's like, come on. Because compared to his age, Pippin is literally a toddler. He's like, really?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
So now we've got all of our stones unpacked and placed, and we planted our white tree. The Dunedain are officially settled into Middle-earth.
Do they have
all
like
the boxes
a
are
symbol?
unpacked.
Yeah. Do they have like a symbol or like a crest or like a flag or something of the Dunedain? Does he ever like
Well,
make
isn't that the tree with the 7-star thingies?
Is it? Let me look. Symbol of
Or
the
is it the helmet? The like winged thing
I
with the
love
helmet?
that helmet. I think it's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Dunedain. People say Dunedain.
It's spelled Dane, but this is Tolkien, so he
Dunedain.
makes up.
There's the star of the Dunedain. A silver brooch worn on the gray cloaks of the Rangers of the North, shaped like an emblem of Arnor, a 5-pointed star.
5.
Like
That's confusing.
Numenor?
Yeah.
What's Arnor?
Yeah, I guess because Arnor is the Southern Kingdom. No, Northern Kingdom. Sorry, there's Gondor and Arnor. My bad.
Oh, I guess that is their symbol.
Yeah, the 5-pointed star, like the Numenor is kind of shaped like a star. So I could see that. Okay.
All right.
So, okay. The Dunedain, they are officially settled. This is where the story ends. Everyone lives happily ever after and gets along. The end.
The end.
Nope. Because remember, after the downfall of Numenor, Sauron's body, quote unquote, died in the destruction, but his spirit came back to Middle Earth on a dark wind looking for a home. I love that term.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this whole time, Sauron's just been kind of MIA. Like, I don't know if the Dunedain thought he maybe died in the destruction. I don't know if they knew that he actually couldn't die, or they were just, too busy moving in. Moving in's a stressful situation. You got all the boxes, you got to find places, you got to organize it all. I mean, don't get me started on moving into a new house. It is stressful, let alone a new kingdom. So, needless to say, no one knows where Sauron is, but Sauron came back anyway.
Shocker.
Quote, but ere many years had passed, it became manifest that their enemy, Sauron, had also returned. He came in secret to his ancient kingdom of Mordor, beyond the Ethel Duath, the Mountains of Shadow. There, above the valley of Gorgoroth, was built his fortress, vast and strong, Barad-dûr, the Dark Tower. And there was a fiery mountain in that land that the elves named Orodruin.
Mm-hmm.
So first of all, okay, so I've obviously read this book, and then I also kind of re-listen to the section that we're doing that week on the Audible. So I don't know why, because I've listened to it like multiple times to like really instill it in my brain. So whenever the Audible guy was talking about like coming in secret, I just imagined Sauron like tiptoeing past Gil-galad, like or he's doing something like with like the black suit and like the laser trap, and he's just like sneaky, like doing flips and don't trigger the alarm. We don't want the Eldar to know.
Or in Snow White, where all those 7 dwarves are like, they're like, squeak, squeak, squeak. Yeah. Him and his orcs.
That's one of my favorite dopey parts was when he like shushes, I think, a stair or something, like just some inanimate object that made noise. Or it was the door or something.
Yeah. He's doing that with his orcs. He's like, shush.
I also love this description of Sauron's realm. Like, it reminds me kind of like of a dad making up a spooky bedtime story for his kids, which I imagine this kind of was what Tolkien was doing anyway. But I had this imaginary conversation in my brain, and I was also up a little late last night and was a little hyper tired. That's what we call it. I'm not sure what you guys call it, but I actually made this, like, script is a heavy word, but I thought it would be fun if Abby and I kind of did it. Do you want to do it, Abby?
Okay. Did you put it in the email?
Yes, I did. It's at the very bottom.
Okay.
Okay,
so
do you want to? I'll be Tolkien, so I'll do the first one.
okay, so I'm gonna be Christopher.
Yes.
Okay, I'm Christopher Tolkien.
Okay.
Hello, Daddy. It's me, Christopher Tolkien.
Go to bed, child.
But Daddy. Okay,
But Daddy. All right, so we have this realm and this valley. It was called Gorgoroth.
But what does that mean, Daddy?
It means place of very great dread. Ooh.
Oh, scary.
Yeah. And by this valley, there was a bunch of mountains called the Efelduath, maybe.
Well, what does that mean?
Well, it roughly translates to mountains of shadow. Ooh.
Oh. Well, why didn't you just call it that?
Well, I just kind of assumed that at this point in time, you guys would be fluent in Elvish by now. I mean, I've taught it to you and spoken to it. We gotta learn somehow. Anyways, these mountains, the bad guy built a huge tower next to, and he called the tower Baradur.
Is it called the Spooky Tower?
No, come on, kids. That was an easy Elvish word. It means dark tower. Obviously, I mean spooky tower. Who calls it tower? That?
Sorry, Daddy.
And next to all this evil bad stuff was a scary mountain called Orodruin. And then since I know you have failed your Elvish tonight, I'm just going to tell you what it means. It means Mountain of Red Flame.
Oh. Daddy, why are your bedtime stories filled with so much scary stuff and big words that you expect us to know? And I'm like barely learning the English language. I'm like 4, so like I don't know what you want me to do, but okay.
Well, what would you call a scary mountain then?
Scary mountain. Mount Doom. Mount Doom?
It's not bad. Not bad. I'll take it under advisement. But for now, we're calling it Orodruin.
Okay, Dad.
So sorry. I just thought that was like a funny conversation in my brain. I'm not sure if
Dad, can I go to bed now? You haven't let me go to bed yet. You're just sitting here talking. Okay. I've been like wanting to go to sleep for like the past like 20 minutes.
Okay, go to bed, Christopher. You have a big life ahead of you organizing all of my nonsense. So good night.
Wait, what? Wait, Dad?
Sweet dreams.
Dad, wait, no. I already have an ulcer and I'm 4.
So anyways, I just thought that was fun.
I'll give you no help. I'll be beyond the grave. Dad, no.
Did I have way too much fun with this? Just a little bit too much, or just enough?
I think we should roleplay Tolkien and Christopher way more often.
Okay, but I think we'd also need to get why can't I think of her name? The wife in there. We need to get the wife in there too every once in a while.
Christopher, let your what is Dad doing in your room again? You could both need to be asleep. Boys, go to
bed. Edith. Okay, I felt like I was failing there for a second. Okay. So anyways,
Lucy,
this mountain, Orodruin, which will later be known as Mount Doom, is really why Sauron chose to build his fortress here in the first place. It doesn't say if there's anything like magical or special about this mountain in particular, but this was like
great. The school district,
really
amazing. Super close to a Costco, super close to a Target. Just amazing.
Good drive-through Starbucks. They already know my order. I mean,
yes,
they're so great there. So the only thing that we get to really know about this mountain is that, quote, he used the fire that welled there from the heart of the earth in his sorceries and in his forging.
So he was like he knew that the ore was good there.
Yes. And then I had this crazy thought. Okay, so if you want to pull up the last map, both of the maps, the last two maps, sorry. Right. So we kind of have a close-up of Mordor, and I did find it interesting. If you look at the close-up of Mordor, you see Udun. You see that at the very top?
Mm-hmm.
Flame of Udun!
Oh.
Connection. And then I was like, why does Gorgoroth sound so familiar? Gorgoroth actually was... They used this twice, and I was like, oh, did it survive the flooding or something like that? Because Gorgoroth was the creepy mountains that Ungoliant, the spider lady, lived in.
Oh.
Like that a long like time nice ago. Back in town. Right.
Seems like a nice area.
It didn't survive. Technically, that area is flooded, but I just was like, oh, is it the same? Oh, it's not. Like... They just both mean like basically scary place. So don't go there.
Spoopy place.
The spoopy place. And then also you're seeing his tower, Barad-dûr, and you're seeing Orodruin. So you're kind of have a better idea of what we're working with here. If you pull up the other map I sent you at the last one, I had this crazy thought. Are you ready for this crazy thought?
Yes.
Okay. So obviously, this is a fan theory. This is not canon. And obviously, things probably were shaken up more after the War of Wrath. But I would like to think that this Beleriand map, which is kind of on the left side of the map, you can kind of see it there a little bit.
So for all who are listening, we're going to put these maps up later. This is like what?
For sure.
Like a very... Tolkien looking map, like it's very
confusing because it doesn't say what part's underwater right now.
Yeah, it's a very big, it's like very zoomed out, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but you have Beleriand, and then you have the mountain range, and then we have the area that was previously known to us as the East, that no one was really in except for the men, and then but so that part's underwater now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if only the men were in the East, and as we know, the servants of Morgoth, Melkor, were sent to the East to basically bring those newborn baby men to the dark side, could it have been possible, this is just my theory, that the land of Mordor, just the land itself, and it wasn't Mordor yet, could have existed before, and they could have traveled there. And what if this was a mountain that Melkor and Sauron had been to before? And like hypothetically, they like Melkor had like imbued his power on it or something. So just
stake
throwing
his
it out
claim
there.
Over there.
Yeah, this was our mountain that Melkor and I shared together. This is where we did all of our evil stuff. I still remember. We plotted
He has a Polaroid.
the death of that one guy right over there. And that's where my baby werewolf is born, over in that corner. Memories.
Yeah. He has a tear going down one of his or going down his big metal face helmet thing. He's like, maybe
just a hypothetical. Like
there's
maybe.
there's a scratched in the rock like their initials.
Yes. So, anyways, that was just a fan theory that I had. That as anyone who's remotely a Tolkien fan knows, that this Orodruin mountain or Mount Doom is where Sauron forged the One Ring. Pretty much everyone knows that unless you're those dumb people on Jeopardy.
Oh my gosh.
I can't believe it. Yeah. Because I literally think that was one of the questions.
What if they had answered it the correct term? Did they think they would still count it?
Given that the guy, I forgot his name, that was doing the questions was a major Tolkien nerd, he would have been like, extra points, actually.
Yeah.
You
Here's
get
money
extra.
out of my own wallet. Here you go.
Yes. Well, actually, this mountain is where he first came back after the destruction of Numenor. This is where his dark spirit wind was on the wind, and then it
what is that
flew
called?
here.
Respawn
Yes.
point.
Yes.
Like a video game.
Yes. Quote, "There now he brooded in the dark until he wrought for himself a new shape, and it was terrible, for his fair semblance had departed forever when he was cast into the abyss at the drowning of Numenor. He took up again the great ring and clothed himself in power, and the malice of the eye of Sauron few even of the great among elves and men could endure."
Scary.
So again, I was listening to the Audible version of this, and the way that the narrator just said, "and it was terrible," like for some reason it sounded hilarious to me. Like obviously Tolkien meant that like Sauron looked terrible, as in like dark and scary looking, but yeah. But the narrator just made it sound like, oh, it just did not look good on him. Like, honey, no, it is terrible. What a terrible fashion choice. Like, I can't believe he did that.
It was pretty terrible.
Yeah. So now that Sauron has decided what his new look is, you know, he had a bit of a fashion show for himself in Mount Doom. Like this one, no. This one, no.
It's a montage with his orcs.
Yeah. But also we have to remember that because he had the ring with him on Numenor, but then he turned into the smoke monster, but somehow the smoke monster carried the ring back to Mount Doom.
Maybe it was in the middle of him and it was like shiny, kind of like how you can put stuff in Jell-O.
He put my office supplies in Jell-O again. So
yeah, like that.
He's decided his look. He's got his ring back on again. He's feeling him back, and he's feeling himself again. He's like, okay, now I need to start causing trouble. But the first thing I need to do is start stoking this fire in my special evil mountain of Orodruin. And are you ready? We're going to end this episode here in a second because we are going to finally find out how the name Mount Doom came about.
There's this ongoing... We already concluded this.
Because there's like the ongoing thing, like, oh, Tolkien is so smart. He came up with these awesome names for things, and then he literally called the mountain Mount Doom. There's the people. There's always the one guy like, actually, it was, you know. So now we know. Now you can be the actually person after hearing this. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Use this knowledge wisely. We used to educate, not to brag. Okay.
Yes.
Quote. "And the fires of the mountain were wakened again. Wherefore, seeing the smoke of Orodruin from afar, and perceiving that Sauron had returned, the Númenóreans named that mountain anew Amon Amarth, which is Mount Doom."
Oh, so it's just the translation of a Númenórean word.
Correct.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And, you know, Mountain of Red Flame apparently just didn't sound cool enough to the Númenóreans. They're like, that doesn't quite give it the vibe. You know what would be better? You know what it should be called? It's like Mount Doom. Am I right, guys? Like, that's definitely more evil. Like, yeah.
I'm getting some bad vibes off that thing.
Yeah.
I think
Red Flame just sounds way too cool.
Yeah.
It's got like a doom ominence about it.
Yeah.
How about we just call it Mount Doom? All right. Let's just make it.
That place is a huge bummer. I'm just feeling that.
Yeah.
I feel like it's going to be a huge bummer for us, and just getting that vibe.
So that's where I'm actually going to leave you today.
Well, thank you for teaching me.
You're welcome. So please follow us on Instagram at Sisters of the Shire Podcast. You can become a patron and join our Patreon at patreon.com/Sisters of the Shire Podcast. You can become a dwarf friend of the Shire like our main man Dan, or a elf friend of the Shire like Krishane and Tom. Thank you so much for your guys' support. We really appreciate it. And, we're pretty serious about this trivia idea. So if you want in on the trivia, either versus Abby or versus me, we haven't quite decided yet. If you want to weigh in, if you want to be a participant, join our Patreon and we'll contact you.
If you want an easy win, you should duel me.
If you want a challenge, because I study up beforehand, pick me.
Whoa.
And I might be a little competitive.
Oh my gosh, she's got a knife. Oh my god.
So please join our Patreon. Please also rate us on whatever platform you listen to your podcasts on. We did get a new rating on Apple Podcasts. Thank you so much. We also got a super sweet review from Mama1724, and I'm dying to know what 1724 means. Are you talking about a year? That's not the year you were born. So, I mean, what happened in 1724?
I judge here. She's a vampire. Okay. That's when she was
No, vampire, Abby. She's obviously one of the Eldar. Don't make a big deal about it.
She's a Dunedain.
Or she's one of the Dunedain. Yep. I don't know why, but Dunedain.
Amazing.
Maybe it's because of Aragorn. It's like obviously like that's a male term, right? Like so that's a Dunedain.
I know. I feel like women can't be Dunedain, but they can.
Right. They can for sure. But like a Dunedain.
A Dunedandy.
All right. So obviously Mama 1724 is a Dunedain. But any Dunedandies out there, hit us up. Love to chat. So we didn't get any new countries, but Ireland took over Slovenia. Get it, Ireland.
Go, Ireland. Go.
Go. Use your bagpipes. Go. Is Ireland
scrappy.
only... They are very scrappy. Is Scotland only a bagpipe thing? Or is it in Ireland like the flute thing? I'm just now realizing this is a question. Ireland listener, please weigh in. Because we need to know now. I don't want to be offensive. I love Ireland and Scotland both. So I want to be right. So
do not be offended. I don't know.
We genuinely do not know. And we have literally been to both, and I really cannot say.
Yes.
Wow. Why can't I figure this out in my brain? I don't know. Okay. Anyways. Until next week, I've been Ashley.
And I've been Abby. And this has been the Sisters of the Shire podcast. I did it. I won. I got there first. Bye. No. This has been the Sisters of the Shire podcast. And we're so glad you're here. And we'll see you next time. Bye.